Thank you. Thank you so much. Dear friends, sisters and brothers, comrades, I could feel that this room is filled with passion and power. I could also feel that this room is filled with fire and light, because each one of you, all of you, symbolize spark and ignition. You symbolize knowledge, you symbolize truth, you symbolize courage. It reminds me a story of Upanishads. This is India's ancient text of wisdom. There was a teacher, guru, living in jungle, and he became quite famous. So the king of that area insisted his son, the prince, to go and learn something from him. Prince went to jungle with all his big convoy, knocked at the door of the teacher. It was a small hut. So the voice came from inside, "Who are you?" This young man replied, "I am the prince of this kingdom." Doors did not open. There was complete silence. The young man went back and complained to his father. But father sent him again. And this time when he came, same question, "Who are you?" He answered just his name. He did not say, "I am prince." Even the door was not open, and the complete silence. Then this young prince came third time, alone, and he knocked at the door. "Who are you?" He said, "Sir, if I knew who am I, then I would have not come here. I wanted to know who am I." Teacher let him in. After few years, during the valedictory, teacher asked the boy, the prince, "Do you know who are you?" This young man said, "I am fire. I am light. I am going to ignite the world with knowledge and truth." Teacher hugged him. The boy was transformed into fire and light. I was thinking that who else can do this miracle? Who else can do this charisma except the educator, except the teacher? You do it every day. You do it every day. You do it every day. And that's why when I said here that I could feel the fire, I could feel the spark, because you represent that. And as we know, that one spark, just one spark, is good enough to dispel the millions of years old darkness. And when I'm standing here with 1,400 such sparks, I feel honored. I feel humbled. And you need not to prove. Fire need not to prove and cry and say that, look, I am a fire. The fire is proof in itself. And you are the proof in yourself as the leaders in your own way. I am not unknown to many of you. Since yesterday, I met many of my old friends. Two reasons. One is that I myself started my career as a teacher, though I gave up my university teaching back in 1980. But the teacher is so powerful that never dies. Teacher inside me will never die, and no teacher can ever be retired. As I could see my brother and friend Fred, he will always remain the teacher and fire. No one can retire. No one can leave the job, so at heart I am still a teacher. And secondly, I had an experience and I had an opportunity to work with many of you in many countries during the Global March, as well as during the Global Campaign for Education, Global Week of Actions, One Goal campaign, and so many other campaigns. And that's why you need not to consider me as an outside guest or a Nobel laureate, because I am a homegrown Nobel laureate for you. So you have all the right and authority on me. But it does not mean that I am going to take much of your time. I know that other things are going to happen. Today, the question is that why teachers have to take charge in their hands. Why teachers have to take charge in their hands? Because of 4 reasons. One is that our children are in danger in the world. Secondly, our teachers are in danger. Thirdly, our democracies are in danger. And fourthly, our planet is in danger. And if teachers don't do it now, if you don't do it now, who will do? Who will do it? Who will take the charge if not the teachers? Dear friends, 4 years ago, when you met in Ottawa, there are a lot of progress, a lot of changes have happened in the world. Not all good. It does not give me so pleasure to talk of those things which have happened not so good. We know that while extreme poverty is reducing, the inequality is growing. Today, when we are sitting here, 428 children are living in multi-dimensional poverty, which they are not responsible. When we are sitting here, 1.3 billion people are living in the similar conditions of multi-dimensional poverty, and half of them are below the age of 18. These 428 are below the age of 10. These are the challenges. And economic inequality is an economic violence that cannot be tolerated. This is unacceptable. This morning, for every 50 children who woke up in their homes, one child will wake up in a strange place looking for a shelter tonight, food tonight. That child is the sufferer of climate change, conflicts, wars, and other kind of insurgencies and violence taking place in their countries. 50 million children are on move today, 50 million. I was in Germany and sitting with the group of refugee children, Syrian refugees. There was a child sitting on a wheelchair who lost his legs and his father in a bomb blast. I sat close to him. He was still smiling. I also knew that he lost his mother on the way somewhere in the boat. He was alone, but with other people, other refugees. I asked him, my son, you are safe here, you get education. What would you want to do in the future? He smiled at me and said, I wanted to go back to my village in Syria. I wanted to become an engineer so that I can rebuild my home, I can rebuild my country. I was in tears. The boy still has the dream. Who is going to fulfill that dream? Children have never been responsible for creating borders and walls. Those who are responsible for creating walls and barriers and boundaries for children, they are working against the wish of God. I refuse to accept that we together don't have that power and authority to raise the voice against what these children are suffering. We know that progress has been made since 2000 in reducing child labor. But according to latest estimations of ILO, 121 children will still remain working as child laborers in 2025. And this is the target fixed in Sustainable Development Goal to eradicate all forms of child labor, but 121 children will still be working. And not only that, the scourge of trafficking of children, online trafficking, child sexual abuse, use of children for pornographic purposes online, this is increasing. This crime is increasing. Dear friends, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. We know many of us, in fact, all of us sitting in the room worked hard for SDG 4, to have that global commitment. But this is seriously off track. 1/4 of adolescent children is expected to be out of school by 2030. And the number of children of primary and lower secondary school age who will be out of school by that time are almost equal to the number of today's children who are out of school. This is unacceptable. We cannot accept it to happen. Increasing privatization, commercialization of education is widening inequalities. the quality and inclusion is compromised in this privatization of education. And we need 69 million more trained teachers. Governments are not prepared to invest on teachers. Governments are not prioritizing the well-being and the rights of teachers. That we all know that how we can ensure the realization of SDG 4 without having motivated, trained teachers in enough numbers. And this is unacceptable for me. And this must be unacceptable for everyone. Despite the commitments made by our governments in 2025, that no one will be left behind in the Sustainable Development Goals. The word we are hearing and frequently hearing during the UN high-level political forum this year is fail. We are failing in many of these things. This is not a surprise, because the governments are becoming increasingly hostile towards criticism. Our leaders are spreading fear and hatred. Unfortunately, we live in a world where the majority of leaders are now scapegoating minorities. Not only the data and statistics is manipulated and compromised, but the fundamental truths are being manipulated. And this is put in the minds of people. This is unacceptable. We cannot accept this to continue. We will not accept this. And my dear friends, who is at the forefront? Who is at the front line to fight it out, fight for justice, if not the educators, if not you? In every country, in every region, educators see how the government failure after government failure is impacting lives of children, and how our most vulnerable children are being left behind. I know you are also facing injustices in your own countries. In the countries from Brazil to Turkey to Philippines, educators are being targeted and persecuted. Poor pay, terrible working conditions, and exclusion from policies and decision-making is something which is common in most of the countries. And I know these challenges you are facing, vital challenges. But in spite of that, I know that you are fighting back. But this is the time when, in addition to what you are doing in your home countries, fighting the domestic challenges and issues, we have to believe that the sustainable change is not possible in any part of the world if we don't consider such issues as global issues. All issues are interconnected. So we have to fight it back like that. Dear friends, unions have been fighting, and I'm so proud to fight alongside you. And I promise that, as I said before, that as a homegrown Nobel Laureate, I stand by you on everything which you do. I will support every resolution, every promise, everything which you will take from here. You can consider me as your ambassador or messenger anywhere. You can use me. The solidarity and partnership between the child rights groups, child labor groups, and educators has proven wonderful results. When we jointly planned and organized the global march against child labor across 103 countries, and in most countries, the march was led and organized by the unions, teachers. And since then, not only we succeeded in adoption, unanimous adoption of ILO Convention 182 on worst forms of child labor, but we have been able to see the reduction of child labor by half. That's a concrete example. I also recall those days when we were shaping another worldwide movement, global campaign for education. It was not easy, I know. But since then, we have been able to reduce the number of primary school age out-of-school children by half. We were able to make it. Now, dear friends, I believe that the most compelling voices for the betterment, for the justice of other children are the voices of young people. The most compelling voices are voices of youth for other youth. And that needs strong momentum. We have to listen to these voices. I was told that my brother and my very, very old friend, David, made a strong speech this morning where he mentioned about the emerging youth mobilization and youth voices, youth movement, may it be the gun violence issue, may it be ecological issue, may it be the child marriages issue, may it be the issues related to trafficking of children in a number of countries. The young people are coming forward, and they need the support and partnership of experienced people. No one else could be more appropriate and genuine than the teachers. We started working in a new campaign since last 2 years that has already grown across 35 countries, and we have built strong partnership with the teachers' organizations in United States, in United Kingdom, in Ghana, in Sweden, Germany, and some other countries, where the student organizations and the teachers' organizations, in addition to civil society, in addition to some politicians and parliamentarians, came together for such a campaign. That is 100 million campaign, 100 million for 100 million. Because 100 million young people are victims of violence. Slavery, trafficking, denial of education is also a violence. On the other hand, hundreds of millions of young people wanted to take charge. They wanted to take leadership. They are full with energy and enthusiasm. They are full with idealism, and they wanted to shape a new world based on justice. And that's why at least 100 million young people can become the champions for the cause of those 100 million left out, sisters or brothers of them. This way, we are able to globalize compassion. This way, we are able to build strong movement for global citizenship by bringing the two different constituencies together. Unfortunately, they are going in different, diverse directions. So, I call upon all of you, we will talk later on also, to be the strongest partners of those young people, those students and youth organizations who are standing up for the betterment of the world through this 100 million campaign. We organized a very important meeting in Ghana, in Accra, last month, which was attended by all major student unions of the world. Those who represent altogether more than 50 million students. And I made it clear that we have to work hand in hand with the teachers. Because while they are working together, there would be several common issues related to democracy, related to freedom of expression, related to changing the priorities of the governments, the policy issues. That's why the young people, the students and teachers have to come together hand in hand. And soon the 100 million campaign is going to work on an event on 17th of October with a big question that would be asked everywhere in the schools, colleges, and the marches would be organized. And the question is simple and clear, that when will every child have justice? I believe that they will have strong support from you. Your experience, your wisdom, your knowledge, your fire will ignite their souls, their hearts, their minds. I once reiterated that educators, under the auspices of Education International, under the leadership of and guidance of some of the most experienced and passionate officers and leaders of this movement, should take the lead, should take the driving seat, should take the wheel. No one else can do this. Dear sisters and brothers, when the xenophobia, Islamophobia, majoritarianism, and intolerance is deliberately being spread and eating up the compassion like termite, you cannot remain in business as usual mode. Stronger voices are needed to build partnerships and coalitions with like-minded organizations, representative organizations for radical changes with radical mass movements. When the monster of darkness is swallowing the sun, you cannot sit quiet. When the forces of evil are assassinating the truth, you cannot sit back. When the democracies are shrinking, you cannot wait for a leader, for a hero, for a champion to descend on the earth. Dear friends, no one else. You are that hero. You are that hero, you are that leader, you are that change maker. Change is knocking your door and change is knocking inside you because you are the change. This is the time, this is the place. You are the people to change and shape the world for justice, for equality, for peace. I call upon you to march together now from this darkness to light. Dear friends, march together. You can do it alone, but when you do it collectively, nothing can match with your power. When I was standing on the dais of Nobel Peace Prize acceptance speech, I lost my papers. It never happened before in their history. All people were nervous. king, queen, prime minister, everyone. And about 1 billion people watch it online or later on live or later on. And it reminded me a story which my teacher taught me. I am praying gratitude to my teacher today as a student. And all the teachers should always remain the student. And the child inside us should not be lost. The student inside us should not be lost so that we can learn new things always. So that story was that there was a heavy fire broken out in jungle. All animals were running for a safer place, including King Lion. And Lion noticed that there was a tiny hummingbird flying towards the fire. And he was shocked. He shouted, "What are you doing? Committing suicide?" She said, "No, sir, I am going to extinguish this fire." He asked, "How come?" She answered, "Sir, look at my beak. I am carrying a drop of water. I am doing my bit," she said. Rest is the history, rest is the legend. I am here to ignite, I am here to awaken very humbly that hummingbird inside each one of you. You are the fire, you are the light, and you are that hummingbird. You can extinguish the fire of fear and hatred and bring compassion and love in the lives of every person on this earth. Please, 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 save the people, save the planet, save the peace. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.